Hello. It's so nice to finally meet you. After we've talked on the phone several times. I'm so glad you could come in today. Have a seat. Have a seat. You doing okay? Wonderful. Did you have any trouble finding the place? Some people do find it a little tricky. No, no, you're right on time. You're not late. You're not late. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. So just make yourself comfortable. You can actually move that pillow if you want to. Yeah. So I just want you to relax and just take a few deep breaths. It's okay. We are in no hurry. There's no hurry. Okay. So that's great. Did you get a chance to check out the online questionnaire? Yeah. I did happen to notice that there were some incomplete sections. Since this is our initial meeting, I would like to go ahead and complete some of those sections before we get started, if that's okay. All right. I'm going to pull up my screen here. You'll be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn my monitor. Now you can see right here. Is there a glare? You can see right here that I have your information. The stuff that you put in online. Does this section, look at section B here. Do you see the blanks there? I think we do have a few things here to fill out. It's pretty basic though. I don't think it will take too long to do. I'm going to put this right here. I want you to see just what I'm doing. I'm going to put in the address of the facility here and make sure that we have total transparency. We like for our clients to be able to see everything that goes into their record. So I want to document, of course, that you are coming to this location, because we have the one downtown too. Will you be going down there for any of your future visits? Okay, you do have that option. If it ever becomes more convenient for you to do that, it's absolutely no problem. Typically, I do work out of this location, but if you have appointments with any of the workers, you can see them there. Okay. For right now, I'm just going to have you guys coming here. Okay. Now, if you would please let me know your mailing address. And that zip code. Okay. And your date of birth. Wonderful. Okay. Does that look correct? And you just let me know if you see anything that looks like it might need to be changed. Yeah. And your phone number. The area code. Wonderful. All right. So this is your initial appointment. I'm so glad you were able to come in today. Do you have your insurance information by chance? Let me see. Oh, that's great. No, that's no problem. I'm going to just take your card. Just set it right here. I'm going to input the information into your profile. It's no problem at all. Yep. Okay. Before we begin, would you like some water or some tea? I do have some chamomile tea. I think I even have some peppermint tea, if you're interested. No? Okay. Well, if you change your mind, let me know. So I would like you to tell me just, I did look over the summary of what you would like to achieve. And if you just tell me in your own words what it is you would like to see and what goals you would like to reach in our sessions. Actually, that is very common. It is. It is very common, especially among younger people, and it seems to be becoming more common as we go on. So there's no need to feel like there's anything. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of young people do express that they have trouble communicating with people. I would say that just my initial impression of you, you're actually doing very well. You're maintaining wonderful eye contact. Well, that's certainly something that we can discuss. It is something that people do struggle with. Just the ability to engage in face-to-face communication with other people. It can be challenging, especially if you deal with anxiety, social anxiety, or you just don't do it very much. You don't communicate with people face-to-face a whole lot. Oh, absolutely. I would say if you are going to be going to job interviews, well, I think that's wonderful. What kind of work are you looking for? Okay. Well, you certainly, that would be beneficial for job interviews to work on face-to-face communication, because there will be some of that, maybe more than once. A lot of jobs these days do require people to come in for more than one interview. You may do some, like your initial interview may be like a Zoom call or something like that, and then you do one in person later. But it can be challenging for people who struggle with face-to-face communications with people. The first thing to remember is that it's okay just to breathe. You can work on relaxation techniques like breathing, mindfulness, and just remember, we're all just people. We're all just people. The person you're talking to, it's okay. We're all just people. We all have our hopes, dreams, fears. We're all a lot more alike than we are different. And the person, like say you were in an interview, the person interviewing you, has definitely been in situations themselves where they felt nervous or, just anxious, and it's totally normal. And if you feel that way, I'm sure they understand, and they know as the applicant for a job, of course, there's going to be some nerves there. I think that's probably true for pretty much everybody. So just remember, it happens to everybody at some point. Everybody feels those butterflies in their stomach, and it will probably never completely go away. But what we hope to achieve in our sessions, and of course we can't do it in one day, but hopefully with our sessions you can learn that communication can be very rewarding. It can be very fulfilling and actually kind of pleasant after you get over the initial anxiety of it. I think my generation, we were lucky because, we grew up before the internet, and your generation didn't, mine did, but we grew up before the internet, so we had much more face-to-face communication throughout our childhood. Most of us did anyway. So I don't think you see as much of it in older generations as younger generations, and it's probably going to continue to be an issue. It's just a side effect of the world as it is, with technology and everything. But it's not impossible to overcome. So, what would you say is your biggest challenge when it comes to talking to people? I think that's probably be one of the top concerns of people is, what do I talk about? So are we discussing this in the context of just a job interview or just day-to-day conversations? Yeah, I would say you probably in the future will have more day-to-day conversations than job interviews. But any tools that you learn can be used in any scenario, whatever the circumstances are. Yeah, it is something that people worry about, I think. What do I talk about? Like, say you're at a party or something. Do you go to parties? Yeah, I have other clients that try to avoid things like that. Do you have any interest in going to parties or social gatherings? Okay. So what do you think has been holding you back? Is it the anxiety? Yeah. Well, maybe, if we can work on some of your skills and techniques, and maybe you can feel more confident and can engage in social interaction more, and then you can feel like you can actually go and have a good time. I would maybe start with just a small gathering, just a few people, before. I don't know that I would jump right into a huge party. That might be a bit much, but a small gathering, 6 or 8 people, 10 people, something like that might be nice, maybe in a restaurant or something like that. So you have other things that you can focus on, like, your meal or drinks or whatever. So you have something else that you can also kind of something to keep your hands busy. A lot of people complain that they don't know what to do with their hands. But if you're having a meal, you can sort of focus on that a bit. You could talk about the food, the restaurant, things like that. It can give you additional topics to discuss. Now, my tip, this is just me, my personal tip. If I'm ever in a situation and I'm talking to someone and I kind of feel like I don't really have anything to say, one thing that never seems to fail is that you can ask the person about themselves, because people love to talk about themselves. They do. And I don't mean that in a critical way, but people love it when other people are interested in them. So you could just ask them, if it's someone you don't know very well, you can ask them maybe what they do for a living. Then you can ask further questions about their work. Oh, that sounds interesting. What do you, in a typical day, what do you do? Things like that. You can just ask them all kinds of questions about their job. If you feel like that might be a little bit too nosy, you can ask them if they have any pets. People love to talk about their pets. Or kids. You can ask if they have kids. People like to talk about their kids. And so it gives you wonderful topics for the person to talk about. And people, I think generally, if you ask them a lot of questions about themselves, they come away with a very positive impression of you. They will think, oh, that person's really great. They may not ask you any questions, any reciprocal questions, but it can give you an opportunity to discuss the same if you feel comfortable. Like maybe they have, I don't know, a dachshund. They have a little weenie dog, and maybe you also have a dog, and you can say, oh, I have this kind of dog, or I have a mutt, a mixed breed, and I got him at the shelter, and you can talk about that. Or it can give you kind of an opening to discuss things in your own life that may be similar to what they're talking about. And the person will come away with a very positive view of you. Just that person is so interesting, and they're such a good listener. And that's another thing that I would say. I think one mistake that a lot of people make in conversation is that they listen to respond. They don't listen to understand. They're listening to the person. I think anxiety does it. It's sort of, they're already preparing what they're going to say, so they're not totally listening to what the person is saying. They're just so eager to say what they're going to say so they can get it out. Just relax. Just take a deep breath, Just while the person talks, just do a little moment of mindfulness, and just remember, it's okay. There's no rush. There's no rush. So, do you have any events planned other than the job interviews coming up? Okay. Now, when you're around your family, you say you have a family Christmas party, do you find that talking to your family is easier than talking to non-family? Sometimes with family, it can actually be harder because maybe they don't get along with their family very well. There might be issues, dysfunction, things like that. Okay. Now, how do you think your family would describe you? Like if they had to just describe you in general? Quiet, yeah. So would you say you are a quiet person just by nature? Mhm. Is it difficult for you to speak up sometimes? Yeah. Well, you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way. A lot of people do. So you're not struggling alone. A lot of people deal with that. I deal with that myself. It's hard for me to speak up, but I find for myself that the more I do it, it sort of becomes easier over time to kind of speak up, and so I'm heard, because I tend to be kind of quiet most of the time myself. But if you practice, it does get easier over time, and it can actually become easier in different environments around different people. So you want to listen to people, but don't be so eager to start talking again. Don't just listen. You're not just waiting for them to stop talking to start talking. You know what I mean? Because the person talking to you will pick up on that, and it may cause them to kind of shut down a little bit. So let's practice. Like say we're at a party, and I walk up to you and I say, "Hello, my name is Mary, and I'm going to shake your hand." And then you would say, "Okay, that's right." So what would you say after introducing yourself to me? Like say I walked up to you and I just said, "Hello, my name is Mary." And then you said your name, and then I just stood there. It could be an awkward silence, but what would you say? Yeah, there's a lot of things you could say. You could talk about, like say you're at a party and you're outside, like around a fire pit or something. You could say, "Oh, the weather's really nice tonight." Or you could comment on, like if they had a drink in their hand, you could say, "Oh, what do you got there?" Or if you can't think of anything at all, you could compliment something they're wearing. Like you could say, "Oh, those are cool shoes," or "I like your sweater." So you could just if there's something about them that catches your eye, you could just compliment that. And it doesn't have to come across as creepy or anything. It can just be, like, "Oh, I really like your earrings. Those are really pretty." And they might say, "Oh, thank you. My mom gave me these," or something. Or if it's a Christmas party, you could say, "Oh, are you all ready for Christmas?" And it gives them an opportunity with that open-ended question to kind of talk about, "Well, I'm not done shopping yet, but I'm hoping to get done this weekend, and then I have to wrap presents." And some people really like to talk about stuff like that. But it kind of gives them an opening, something to talk about. So it kind of keeps the conversation going, so you don't have just that awkward silence that goes on, and then the person just kind of wanders off. I think we've all had that happen, though. Sometimes we're just caught like flat-footed, like we just can't think of anything. I know it's happened to me. Sometimes I have good intentions, but I just can't think of anything to say. If I can't think of anything to say, I usually will just look around and try to find something that will spark some sort of conversation. Usually I will just comment on something they're wearing. Or if I know they came with someone else, I will just say, "Oh, you came with John tonight, right? You two are here together?" And then they will say yes or no or something like that. And maybe you can get a little bit of a conversation going there. But, eye contact is one thing that a lot of people have a problem. They have an issue with eye contact. I find that a lot of my younger clients have a hard time maintaining eye contact, and they're not really sure how much eye contact is appropriate, how much is too much, because they just think they haven't engaged in a lot of face-to-face conversation, so making eye contact can make them uncomfortable. It's kind of tricky because some people that you talk to will not be comfortable with a lot of eye contact. Typically for me, I just kind of mirror what the other person seems to be comfortable with. When I'm in a conversation with someone, I try to be mindful of their comfort. I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I would never make someone uncomfortable intentionally. So I kind of follow their lead, and I would encourage that. Just if the person you're talking to doesn't seem to be comfortable with a lot of eye contact, I would probably just not push it too much. Don't stare at them. I don't want to make them feel uneasy. I just kind of go with whatever seems to work for them. I guess the only problem would be if they were doing the same. And then I guess you would just never look at each other, or you would do a staring contest. That was the thing that my generation loved to do, was staring contests. I don't know if people still do that these days, but there are two types of staring contests. You can do one to see who can look the longest without blinking, or who can stare the longest without laughing. Both of those things can be a challenge. I don't know if that would help you or not, but that's something that my generation used to do. If we didn't have the internet, we didn't really have much else to do, so we did things like that. So, I would say myself, I would say that I am more introverted. Definitely. I'm not a loud, rambunctious kind of person. I don't know if you can tell. I'm really not. How would you describe yourself? The most introverted. Well, that's okay. We need that. We need a mix. We need a blend of people. We really do. We need our introverts. We need our extroverts, and we need everybody in between, because that keeps the world turning. If we were all introverted or all extroverted, I think the world would just blow up. I just don't think it would work. So it's good. It's good that you are the way you are, and I don't want you to try to become someone you're not. These sessions are not about becoming someone else. They are about just being the best version of you that you can be. We're not trying to turn you into somebody else. We're just trying to enhance you and make you even better. Work on your confidence a little bit, your skills, and hopefully, decrease some of that social anxiety, because you will feel more confident to go out there and talk to people. And it can seem like such an easy thing to people who don't struggle with it, but we understand. Yes, everyone here understands completely, and we love to help. We really do. So before your next session, do you know of anything at this point other than the family Christmas gathering? Do you know of any other occasions that you might have opportunities to strike up conversations with people? Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. So you're saying you want to strike up a conversation with your neighbor? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Okay. Okay. Well, how long have they been living next door? Okay, they've been living next door for 2 years, and you've never talked to them. Oh no, that's understandable. Yeah. Well, these days a lot of people don't know their neighbors. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I have neighbors I don't know either. There are people who live on my street that I've never talked to. I have neighbors who come home and they just go in their house and I don't see them anymore. They come home from work and they go in the house and that's it. And they do not talk. They just don't talk. I've lived next to them for 6 years and they don't talk. That's what they are comfortable with, so we just leave it there. Well, if it's something that you definitely want to do, I think that's definitely an attainable goal. I think you could do that before your next appointment. Now, anytime you're in a situation where you want to talk to someone, the first thing a lot of people do is they overcomplicate it. They overthink it. And do you ruminate on things? I do too. I will overthink things in my mind. Like say you're at the drive-through at a fast food place. Do you rehearse the order in your head over and over and over? Yeah, I do that too. So that when I get ready to say it, I'll say it right, but half the time I still don't. When you think about talking to your neighbor, just tell me in a couple words your initial feelings about that. Fear. Fear and anxiety. Okay. Well, think back to when you were in, say, elementary school and the first day of class. Maybe there are some kids you don't know. Did your teacher ever tell you what you should do? I remember the teachers telling us, when I first started kindergarten, a lot of us were new and we didn't know each other, and I was very scared because I did not know these kids and I was painfully shy. But the teacher said, we're all going to get up and we're going to walk around the room and we're going to hold out our hand. And one of you will say, hello, my name is, and you say your name, shake hands, and then you say, what's your name? And the other kid will say, my name is this. And then I want you to tell each other one thing about yourself. And you just talk for a minute and then go on to the next person. Hello, my name is, what's your name? And I want you to try that with your neighbor. You don't have to tell them the one interesting thing. I mean, you can, but that might come off as a little odd if you're 30. So what you can do is, the next time you see your neighbor outside, like getting the mail or something like that, just wave. You could just start by just saying, hey, and if they seem open to talking, you can maybe approach them and say, hey, I know we've never talked, but my name is, and I'm glad you're my neighbor. Or that might sound a little weird, but you can say something like, just start with saying, hey, my name is, and shake hands if they seem like they want to. If you're kind of getting the feeling they don't, then don't press it, just okay. But it could be a start, it could be sort of an icebreaker. And you could just be honest with them if the conversation, if it feels right. You could be honest with them and just say, when you moved in, I was going to talk to you, but you were busy moving and then time passed and it just felt awkward. You could just be totally honest with them and just go ahead and get it out there, because they may be wondering why you haven't talked to them. I'm sure they don't think you're weird. No. Well, you're not going to know unless you talk to them. Sometimes I think we attribute feelings to people without knowing for sure how they really feel. And the only way you're going to know is just by talking to them. And even if they think you're weird, you can talk to them and then they'll go, maybe they're not so weird after all. Yeah. It could just waving at them. It could just be a way to break the ice. Just smile and wave the next time you see them. Just, hey, oh, I know you've never done it before, but that's okay. Every day is a new day. And just remember that every day. Every day is a new day. And you can start over. You can always change. You can always do things differently tomorrow if you want to. Tomorrow can be a whole new day for you. And you can just start over. So I think it would be good for us to have a couple of goals for you before your next session. First of all, how are you feeling right now? Hopeful. That's good. That's very good. Well, I think you made a monumental step just by coming in today. You know, a lot of people struggle with that first step, just coming in. And getting here sometimes is more than half the battle. And you've done that. And I just want to say I'm very proud of you for that. I really am. And sometimes in life, you know, when we're adults, we don't have anybody there to tell us that. But I will tell you that I'm very proud of you for taking the step today, for coming in. So I think it would be good to have some goals before you come back. How about this? Before you come back, when is your next appointment? Okay, before you come back. How about this? If you see your neighbor, I want you to at least wave. Can you just smile and wave? That's all. You don't have to speak unless you feel that, you know, you're comfortable and they're comfortable. And if so, that's wonderful. Then absolutely, you know, just introduce yourself. Just say, hey, my name is, and see where that goes. Just see what happens. They may say to you, you know, I'm sorry, I haven't come to introduce myself. They may say that, and you can laugh and say, well, I didn't either, so I'm sorry, you know. And it could kind of change the nature of your relationship with your neighbor. Well, that's what I mean, because you don't have a relationship now. Oh, I don't mean romantic. I mean, well, you never know, but, you know, it can change the nature of your interactions with your neighbor. How's that better? Yeah, your interactions with your neighbor. And it can give you a good feeling inside. And a lot of people find that once they start doing that, practicing that, just the basic communication with people that they don't know, they find it easier and easier to keep doing it. And they get better and better at it. They get more and more confident. And it gives them that confidence that they need to go out and do even more. And then they can walk into a big party and be totally comfortable and confident in themselves when they couldn't have dreamed of doing that, you know, a couple of years prior. And that could totally be you. And it could change your life. It can make your life more fulfilling if that's the kind of thing that you want to do. So how about making that one of your goals before you come back? Just bare minimum, smile and wave at your neighbor if you get the opportunity before you come back. Now, if you don't see them, obviously can't do it, but how often would you say you see them in a week? Okay, well, if you normally see them once or twice a week, then you should have an opportunity, I hope, before you come back. Yeah, so I want you to just smile and wave at your neighbor. And when you go to your family's Christmas party, I want you to try to have at least a 3-minute face-to-face conversation with someone, any person that you choose. Well, you don't have to time it. I mean, you don't have to sit there, you know, timing it, but, you know, approximately. Just and again, if you can't think of anything, you can always just ask them about themselves. Just, you know, how have you been? I haven't seen you in a while, and you look well. And so people like to hear that. They like to hear that, you know, they're looking well. So yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's put the notes in your. Do you want to put your notes into your profile? Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be the one that you see next time. Let me check the schedule. I'm going to exit out of this screen for just a second. Now, if you look up here, where it's not going away, I'm just going to minimize it, okay? Okay. Let me see. I'm going to just pull up the calendar really quick. I'm going to look at your appointment. You are there. Okay, it's going to be Bridget. You're going to be seeing Bridget next time. Is that okay? Oh, she's great. She's wonderful. I'm actually going to be out of town that whole week. So I could possibly... So you're going to see Bridget. I might be on the schedule next time you come, though. Okay. Well, you can ask for me. It kind of depends, though, because we're sort of on a rotation. But if you do come to this location, you're more likely to get me, because I don't really go to the other one super often. Really, I only do it to cover occasionally. So I'm going to put, do you want to put the notes? Okay, let me get back to your profile again. So we're going to see if you achieve these 2 goals by your next appointment. So number 1, you're going to wave at your neighbor, smile and wave, smile and wave at neighbor. That's number 1. Number 2, a 3-minute conversation at family Christmas party with family member of your choice. Do you have anyone in mind? No, just luck of the draw. That works too. Anyone you like. Okay. Are you still feeling hopeful? Good. Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear it. You know, we really do like to help people. We really do. And we feel that working with people like this on a one-on-one level is really the best way to do it. Just to help people attain just the basic skills that they need to interact. Right. And again, I want to remind you, you're not alone. You're really not. This is a very common issue that people have. So, you know, just think next time you go out and say you're at a party or in a large gathering of people, rest assured there are plenty of people around you at that moment who are struggling just as much as you. So it kind of gives you a sense of camaraderie, or it would make me feel that way, like I'm not alone in this. Like a lot of people here are probably feeling the same way. So, but it's something that you are addressing. So that puts you in a good position for your future, I think, as long as you continue to strive to try to work on your communication skills and develop the skills that you need. I think you're going to do great. Thank you so much for coming by today. It has been a real pleasure meeting you and talking with you today. Now, how do you feel about this process? Okay. That's really good to hear. That's really good. How do you feel about your goals? Excellent. Excellent. I cannot wait to hear how it goes. I'm going to be reading your notes, and I will probably see you for your 3rd appointment. Just if you want, you can just ask to be for your next appointment to be when I'm here, and we'll see if we can work that out for you. If you wish, you don't have to, of course. If you prefer to see Bridget, you know, more than once, it's totally fine. It's okay. We just want whoever works best for you, because it's really just about helping you. So, you know, whatever works for you is okay. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. It was a real pleasure getting to meet you, and we look forward to seeing you again really soon.